Good morning, and today I'm going over sensitivity analysis and capital budgeting. Uh, Class is Business 604, Fundamentals of Business, with the American Military University. My name is Jonathan Wayne Hester. Professor is Dr. Samuel Miller. The due date's 1 May 2023. The purpose today is to define what capital budgeting is, define sensitivity analysis, identify the steps for quantitative and qualitative data, whether sensitivity analysis is actually worth all the trouble, and how to utilize this data to determine risk associated with the project. And finally, I'll sum it all up in my conclusion. And I apologize, I have the flu right now. I don't know how this is happening. It's almost summer. Capital budgeting comes into play when there are large purchases on the horizon. Uh, that's essentially what it is. It's going over all the finances, all the variables, try to make a decision to go either commit to a large project or not. Capital budgeting relates to the decision of an investment in long-term products or projects. It involves various methods of analysis to ensure business is not overcommitting funds for a project that may not meet expected return on investment. Once a capital budget decision has been made, it is often difficult or near impossible to reverse. Usually, these are very large sums of money that are at play. So, trying to reverse it is way better to prevent errors than it is to try to fix them after the fact. Sensitivity analysis can be described as the what if factor. Most people call it the what if analysis. That's a tool to utilize multiple variables, dependent variables, independent variables, and how they impact the project or investment opportunities. Some things can cause drastic effects that we may not realize when we first look into committing to a project. Sensitivity analysis is a great method for assessing the risk of a project based on multiple variables. So if it's a large project and there's 1,000 things, whether it's the stock market, volatility of stocks, so many things that can cause issues with it. You can take all of these variables and plug them in, and it'll help you to identify what the actual big determining factors are that's going to affect your project. Sensitivity analysis uses qualitative and quantitative data to capture as many what if scenarios as possible. So the more we can identify, the better we can predict what the outcome may be. It gives it a little bit of credibility, or a lot more credibility, than if we just went in with a blank slate of not thinking about these other risks. Qualitative steps essentially take into account many variables that could jeopardize the project or investment. It can take into account the current market predicaments, potential seasonal factors, predictions from well-known market analysts, or any source that we believe could impact a project or investment. The goal is to determine all the potential variables so we can create a more credible prediction, as I've stated. Quantitative steps rely on gathering facts such as historical data, competitor sales, or any other fact-based data that can be represented as true. Then we can go ahead and build our model in order to start plugging away at these variables. Determine risk is it's pretty self-explanatory. No one wants to dive into any business adventure without looking at the potential risk. So the way that sensitivity analysis can help us with that is it's an in-depth analysis, and it can help determine proper allocation of resources, which is a big thing, because if you go into something and you don't expect to have that many workers, and then you go into your sensitivity analysis, you can actually plug in those variables based on the amount of workforce you have and see what the outcome might be. It identifies all the weak spots, such as determining volatility of stocks and associated bonds, um, identifies the key indicator that measures the effectiveness of the investment. So we can identify the key aspects that's going to make or break, or the key variables that are going to make or break the cash inflow or outflow. Whether or not sensitivity analysis is worth it. So the pros are the ability to use complex data to explore many solutions, identify the key risks, and the ease of use depending on the size and complexity of the model. On the flip side of that, if analysis is too complex, there may be hardware limitations, just things to look out for. Although there are facts inside of it, there are also a lot of assumptions. It is mostly assumption based, and it only generally explores one variable at a time. So you can see how the market is fluctuating, the volatility, how that affects it. But then you can also see what the market sales are currently doing, and you have to compare those together on your own. Generally doesn't do it together. Necessary? No. Is it? It's not mandated, but it is a good tool to use for many others to help predict future value. Is it worth it? Yes, in my opinion, it is. It does take time. It's a lot of variables to throw together, but the more variables, the more credible. Uh, it is assumption based, so what if can have some serious implications if we don't understand the flow of everything when changes could be made. Thank you.